Good morning. Welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they are doing curbside delivery. You order on your Giant Eagle app, roll down the window, wait for your food. They bring it right to you. Can't get any easier than that. Ramon Foster joining me from Hendersonville, Tennessee, which I understand you pretty much traversed by foot all day long. Is that correct?
That's what it seems like, man. And it looked like it in one of my videos I have also.
That's a rough ending to that video. I've seen it.
It is, man. But when you put in work, man, I guess it's how it's supposed to look. That took me back to my college 110-yard sprints and doing hills afterwards for walk.
It took me back to Big Snack at the end of the at the end of the opening sprints. And eventually those became so R-rated that they banished reporters from watching them. Remember, we'd watch from the top of the hill?
Yeah.
And then one year we just weren't there anymore.
Yeah, it was.
Like, you are not here to watch Casey Hampton do the opening day sprints.
The best thing is when you graduate to not having to do it. I'm telling you, that is the best. I'll never forget when Coach Tomlin came to me and was like, you can do two and just stop. That's it. and that's the difference between a really good coach and one that just wants to bring pain, man.
That's the one when he sends you over to the Ben lane, the one all the way over to the right. And you just go over there. You just go over there with Ben. It's cool, And then Ben, the best part is that Ben acts like he's really going hard, but no one's counting how many times he goes,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the National Football League and the National Football League Players Association, of which you were a union rep here in Pittsburgh, have reached an agreement to not have preseason games. And I'm not going to lie, as much as I respect the players' viewpoint on this, man, there's a part of me that's, no games. And then all of a sudden the opener, I mean.
You know what? You say that, and I honestly gave my opinion on that on one of the calls too. And it might bode bad for some guys, and I get it. But I think if you come to the understanding of what this year is going to be a bunch of guys that's already been on rosters. The rookies are going to learn under fire, okay? And I say already on roster because I had a conversation with Marquise. He was like, Mon, you might have retired at the wrong time because during this pandemic, guys are just going to make the team. And I had to think to myself, like, he's kind of right. You kind of got to go with what you know.
Don't go there.
But I'll say two things on that too. One, it's good for guys who are vets, and honestly, you're going to be walked into a position. But it's also bad for guys who don't get an opportunity to actually display their talents. As far as your late round and your undrafted round guys like myself, okay, that's the double-edged sword right there. But I mentioned that on the call also, getting back to the topic, that the year that I hurt my knee in camp, I had no preseasons whatsoever. And I know I'm a vet and I know how to handle those situations, but to come back from an injury, no preseason games, and to start week number 1.
In Cleveland, I remember it.
And on the road, I went through that, and that was the year, it was my last year, honestly, that I didn't miss any games. I think I played over 1,200 reps that season. My position's different from a guy that's running and stopping, cutting, running, catching the ball, taking hits over the middle. I do acknowledge that. But young guys are going to have to lean on older guys a whole lot to figure out how to be pros early on during these strange times.
Now, when people generally think of the common fan thinks about the preseason, heck, I think about it this way myself. I think about reps for starters, and sometimes, let's be honest, we reduce the game of football to nothing more than the reps for the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, your starting quarterback hasn't played football in a while.
Yeah.
His first snap in anger is going to be in the season opener.
On Monday night.
On Monday night, and well, I mean, empty stadium and all, but I mean, it's a different world. But yeah, Monday night with the whole world watching, nonetheless.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the ratings will be through the roof. And he will not have had a chance to realistically acclimate himself fully, I don't think, with Deontay Johnson in particular. I know I know they hit it off somewhat in Latrobe and everything last year, but Deontay still wasn't Deontay then. James Washington hit it off more with Mason Rudolph than he did with Ben to that point, if you'll recall. And then, of course, Chase Claypool or anybody else isn't even a consideration, like you just said, because of the rookie factor and knowing what you're doing. That's going to be, that's going to be what people are focused most on as for not having preseason games.
It is, but the other side of that is everybody's doing the exact same thing. Yeah. And I'll say this too is I truly believe that the good teams gradually get better over the season. We've left Latrobe sometimes, and you've seen it. We go 2-2 the first 4 games. Heck, it's been sometimes we go 0-4 or 1-3, and then you gradually get better. That's what's going to happen.
The game you just referenced, coming back from your injury, was the one that really jumps out. It was a tie in Cleveland, back when that was still really, really uncool.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of things are going to happen. One team's going to have to get better during the season. You have to play it out, okay, as much as you can. And I think if coaches are smart, they got to tweak a lot that's going on. I think it's going to be high intensity because it's needed. We're talking about acclimation. It's got to be high intense quick, okay? Guys are probably going to be able to get more reps in a very short compressed timeline. That's gonna have to happen because you need reps. You need those. Hey, if it is blitz pickup, guys are gonna have to get a lot more reps in those periods. You won't have a whole lot of teach time on the field. If a young guy messes up, okay, move on. That's gotta happen very fast because, like you said, the acclimation period of being under fire. At least this year, training camp is going to seem a lot like game day too, considering
that was actually the only other thing I was going to bring up in this segment is that you have a head coach who believes in physical contact, who believes in it in Latrobe, who believes in it in day 2 in Latrobe. Okay, I mean he makes sure that he hears pads on day 2. I could see a scenario where at Heinz Field, with all those bodies there and one field, one grid, that I think you're going to see some scrimmaging over there, and I think you're going to see some guys banging bodies. I really do.
And considering you said putting on one field, I think you're going to see one versus the scout team simultaneously. I think you're going to have both of them going because you have to. And I know everybody, like, you're running guys into the ground. What is it, 40-odd days that they got to be able to make this happen and get into the best playing shape. These guys can – and I've been one of those guys, you can run as much as you want to. We actually were writing it down in our journals from the spring. The last day of spring, we were writing down, remember the first 3 days of camp. You're going to be tired. You're going to be sore. No matter how good.
No matter what you did to prepare.
De Castro is infamous for it. He'll hold up his notebooks. Remember this guy? It's like, okay, you're right. That's what happens in camp. So football conditioning, you kind of lose a little bit of your cardio because you got to get hard and stop and go instead of just running. So it's going to be a lot of that. We might have 6 different cameras running at the same time on the field, getting stuff in because I got to see what Claypool is able to do. I got to see what Dotson can do. Okay, Chooks, you on field 1. Zach, you on field 2. I need to see both of y'all doing the exact same thing. And now switch.
Yeah, right? Move. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's strange, but I'll say this too. Aren't you delighted that it's going on?
I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait. I'm greedy, but I've had now a couple of weeks of being around the Pirates at PNC Park. I've had a couple of weeks of being around the Penguins up in Cranberry. I'm ready for the other one. I am. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little different, obviously, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I'll say this on the joking side, too. When have you ever seen the Pirates, Penguins, and the Steelers at the same time?
At the same time. I know. The whole thing is nuts. I know. It's just a different world.
It is. And I'm looking forward to it. Selfishly, I am looking forward to it with the concern of the guys' health. Same as you are, and I hope everybody else too. But I know guys are eager as you are too. And it's good that they're coming to a sort of an agreement through this whole thing.
Okay, just say what you just said now in the break. Go ahead.
I said to you, did you see that our guy retired?
Yeah, and I had to think for a second because I don't take Antonio Brown retiring remotely seriously.
Yeah.
There's an official count on these, by the way. This was the fourth.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's the fourth. There's some guy, some national NFL writer who actually had dates next to all four of them. You can't tell me that if a team didn't call him tomorrow, that he wouldn't pick up and say, "I am right there." That's not retiring.
That's true, because if somebody called me, I'm like, you know what? I can refer you to somebody. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's retiring. Okay, you've cleared your head. You've written about it in your column that's up on our site this morning. You've shared the emotions that are involved in it and everything else. Yeah. He isn't retired. He's still running routes. You can look at all on his social media. Every other post is running routes. Who runs routes when they're retired?
I don't know. Okay. So I'm gonna play his side. Okay, because that is my guy. I have a relationship.
I know.
I'm a defender. Maybe this time he's gotten to a point to where he's okay with it, okay? But we've seen this happen before. Like I said, he said it before, not only from him, but also from other players. When Gronk said he was done, I was like, oh, okay, I'll believe him. And then he's back. So me knowing him and his competitive spirit, his wanting to be the best, one of the best who ever do it in our era, from what are we going from 2010 at least to at least, I mean, even in his last year, he was still doing some stuff. You're like, okay, yeah, we're going to keep him
I would
around.
argue, and this was, and you were down on the field and I was way up at the top of the Superdome in New Orleans. I would argue that game against the Saints was the best I have ever seen Antonio Brown play. That is not an exaggeration. Mm-hmm. That is one of the best teams in the National Football League, and they had no answer. They had nothing. I don't know that I'd ever seen a wide receiver, and it's not taking no credit away from Ben and what you guys did up front to give Ben the time, because everything clicked for the offense that day. Yeah, but not like '84, man.
No,
not what he was doing.
I'll take it even further. So I'll now, since I'm retired, I'll look at football. Okay, I used to see NFL Network. Whatever. I'm not looking at that. So I stopped last night to watch the Jaguars and the 2017 playoff game, and it was I know it's gritty, and I changed it before it actually, went left. But it was in the fourth quarter, and AB's going against arguably the best corner in the game, Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey,
ran a slant on a bam. I'm like, this guy is that good. But not only that, it was 4th and 5, okay? Le'Veon, it was 3rd and 5, and Ben was under pressure and threw it to Le'Veon, didn't have it. Ben waved off, and we go for it. And I remember myself thinking during that game, we're really going for this. Ben throws it. And I think it was Bouye who was on AB. He's grabbing his shoulder pads the entire, and AB reaches out and grabs it. I'm like, that guy is good. And you don't realize it because of all the stuff going on in front of you at the time. But if he did unretire.
Oh, you mean watching it? Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Watching it, yes.
Yeah, the film.
The film is different. The TV copy of what he did on that one pass was insane, okay? So if they did call him, considering everything else that he got to clear up, I'm with you. He's still running routes. He still got it. I'm with it.
You know what? That bridge in Pittsburgh has obviously been burned. When it's not easy to get Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin each separately to publicly say no, that ship has sailed. But that's definitely happening. The only reason I say this is because there's still people in Pittsburgh and they look and they go, "Oh yeah, couldn't they just?" But they can't, can they? There's just no way.
I don't think in Pittsburgh, but I do see somebody somewhere, as I said before, with this unusual year, you got to go with what you know.
Oh, that's a good point.
And if there's an opportunity that this commission exemption list can be lifted, or his agent pulls some strings We
You need to
know
drop the 4 games or whatever that is. Yeah.
exactly. We know what he can pull off and how good he is. That's all I'll leave it up to. And I'm with you by saying retired.
Yeah. That's all relative. I mean, again, you have to look at the different places where he could possibly end up. I know Tampa Bay looked like something because of Brady, but then Bruce was like, no, Bruce Arians.
I saw that. He doubled down on it twice, by the way.
Bruce, and as only he can too, in a way that wasn't exactly corporate speak. Okay.
No,
Or Bruce was just like, which part of no are you not getting? Is not going to happen here. But you're right. There are 30 other franchises.
I could see Washington or Carolina. I mean, I'd even go as far as saying Atlanta somewhere. Somewhere like those the NFC South teams. I could see that being a thing.
I think you could also see something that would be kind of oddballish, like the Jets. Don't laugh, because they could go to Lev, they could talk to him, and they could say, "Look, we're trying to get some confidence in our quarterback here, who they believe in Sam Darnold. They just do."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't know that they shouldn't. So I'm not saying that even cynically.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could say, "Hey, we have somebody right here on campus that we can go and talk to," and I think Lev would stand up for him.
Absolutely, because he know the work ethic and he know what comes on game day. And for those reasons, I see 1 or 2 veteran receivers going down and him getting a call, or at least a tryout somewhere.
The other thing is, Moan, is that New York teams, they think they can handle anybody. Oh, no, he won't act like that in New York. No, not in New York. There's no way. We're too tough for it. We're bigger than any athlete. They come here and we'll just shrink the guy. That's,
And you know what? He has an extended family there, like you said, with Le'Veon.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And no, I'm just saying, like with former guys, Le'Veon and Willie Colon is there too. So you speak about surrounding him with familiar people.
Mm-hmm.
One vouch could do it.
There are 2 things that are certain in football life. One is that EA's Madden game will screw up everybody's ratings. And 2 is that everyone will be really, really upset about it. Now, I mean, I get it. The Steelers' defensive ratings became a national topic, and they should. They're a joke.
100%.
But why? What's the big deal? I mean, why don't they just find another video game to play if they acknowledge that this one stinks?
Because, DK, you don't understand, okay? I'm here to break this down, and it might sound ludicrous, okay? But when you get that game, which, by the way, that game is like $50+, and it sells over a million units, okay? So imagine the revenue on that, okay? But also it's over 1 million people who are getting that video game who judge you off of what you do on that game, DK. And if your ratings are subpar, people will tell you. And guys hearing fans say, hey, man, you are a 70 speed, when you know in your mind, man, I am the second fastest guy on my team. You need to put some respect on my name, okay? It's huge. Getting the cover is huge. But also being an X Factor player, because the people who enjoy seeing you on TV also enjoy winning with you on that game. They're the same people, okay? And when you say, okay, I had somebody tell me once before that a certain baseball player was mad about his height and his weight, okay? And he said he had to tell them after they announced him, hey, I'm actually 180. I'm not 160 anymore, okay? Because you put in work to be better. And if you slight me on my rating, there's a problem to be had about that, man.
Okay, all right. Now let's go inside the personalities here, because everyone on your defense got slighted. Everyone across the board, individually. Never mind the defense as a whole. Never mind ignoring a defense that had 38 takeaways and everything else. Everyone got jobbed. TJ got jobbed. Minka got jobbed. Cam got jobbed. Now, TJ, I could see very much as being the kind who could be playful about it. But the other 2 are the ones that I want to bring up. Okay? Because you're going to have 2 extremes here. And correct me if I'm wrong here. You're going to have Cam, who will be legitimately upset. And then you're going to have Minka, who will legitimately not care in the slightest.
No. Okay.
Why is that?
Because I'll say this, and I say this to everybody. Everything Cam Hayward is doing is pushing for either Super Bowl ring and a Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Okay? And his stats need to reflect what work he's put in on that field.
Which is not easy as an interior defensive lineman. It's
absolutely
not
easy. He's moved up that cusp. Okay, now I got recognized. Now Cam probably is in that boat. Y'all need to consider me for Defensive Player of the Year. And my Madden ratings need to reflect that also, okay? He needs to have the same recognition as Aaron Donald does on that game. When you're running up the middle, he's stopping. He's not all that. So I say those two things. Minka, I think, is genuinely just too young to really care, honestly. And he's focusing on being great, getting to Cam's point.
See, Minka to me is just an adult. Like I think you're giving him actually too much credit with the I think Minka's just the grown up in the room. Even though he's a child, he's the grown up in the room. You know what I'm saying?
He is, but I think when he finds his talent going into autopilot, I think he can focus on that a little bit more. Cam was probably too focused early on to care about it. Now he's like, okay, I'm established, and you need to give me all of my respect. And you know what? I'm okay with that too, because it's some stuff you see on there like speed is what? Like
yeah. Well, that part's a shame because those are facts, and that's not even an objective thing. But it's hard to tell what it is that they use because when you look at whatever passes for objective analytics, I mean, you and I have had fun here on this at the expense of Pro Football Focus, but Pro Football Focus's top 3 rated defensive players in the entire National Football League were number 3, T.J. Watt, number 2, Cam Hayward, and number 1, Aaron Donald.
Yes,
that is a list you can live with.
Yes, you can. But on the other side of these ratings, you have guys dealing with the aspect of, did you play football, sir? Do you know how I play on Sundays? You have sometimes non-football players making ratings for guys.
Just say it. You saw them. You saw these dudes standing on the sideline. Last time, by the way, that we talked about this on Java, these guys started taking clips from it and slamming us on social media. So here we are, fellas. Come at us again, kids.
Coming at us again. So I think that's the other side of it. And I think guys realize that, hey, you can make this game do whatever you want it to. And I feel like I'm an 85, but you give me a 72. That's not fair to me. So I laugh at it now because I think you see the skill guys and all defensive players hate it. Okay, those two, because it's their position is a direct reflection of their own field play. And if I've been killing it and you don't acknowledge it, I think there was a safety in Denver who's been really killing. I don't know his name, but amongst the DB community, this guy has been killing it for a while. And I don't think his rating reflected his play on the field.
No, it's funny how that stuff works too. This was about a year ago. I had a good talk with Alejandro Villanueva about his role models as he looks around the NFL at his position. Man, they were not the names.
Nope.
That you're used to hearing.
Nope.
They were not the left tackles that were the big names in the business. Nope. He said maybe that's sometimes because you find somebody who is your build, your stature, has your footwork that you can say, all right, I can learn something from watching this guy, but maybe I can't. Like if you're a center and you're trying to model your game after Marquise Pouncey, but you can't get to the outside like you can, then find someone else to be your role model.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. But and the thing is, those guys are very solid in the league, but they don't get the recognition because you go after the sexy guy that everybody knows. And I think that's a lot of the compromise when you building a game and putting ratings on people that holistically around the league, like Al said, man, I respect the hell out of that guy.
Yeah.
But nobody recognizes it.
Well, that's like again to go back to that. If he says my guy is Jonathan Ogden, well, guess what? You're not a human redwood.
Yeah.
Okay, all Jonathan Ogden had to do was exist, and you weren't getting
Yeah.
to the quarterback.
You know, and it's funny that you say that. I've had a lot of young guys come to me after the game like, man, I love your game. And you know what? They are under the radar guys who have jobs and have had jobs for a long time.
You talking on the other team?
Yeah, on other teams. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
You see guys after us, and it's been some guys that I didn't know, like facially. And they've been like, man, I respect what you've been doing for a long time. Keep doing what you're doing.
They see you on film.
After they see me on film, and yeah, you can say that, you know, this guy's not this, but the guys that play the game recognize that. And those after game, like dap ups and hellos and goodbyes, a lot of that happens there, man. And you see it on social media, or a guy like me and TJ Lang now communicating. Well, he's not communicating with me because I played against him in the division. Well, he's seen me on film, and he's seen my work, and I've seen his work. And there's a big respect factor that goes beyond. I hate the sexy, well-known players in this league.
Well, maybe those should be the guys doing the ratings. Although you just give yourselves all 99s, wouldn't you? Like everybody be like,
no, because you see one or two, and you're like, yeah, he's getting what? Oh, yeah, it must have been a good free agent year. It happens.